leaves are falling down. Oh, can't you see? Golden shades of red, it's like a dream to me.
Hello, welcome to my channel Crafty Fox DIYs. In this video, I've got some super fun fall DIYs for you using wood. This video is part of the What Would You Make collaboration. As always, the hosts of the collaboration are Brenda from Rustic and Lace DIY and Christine from Divine Designs. This month's guest host is Brandy from the DIY Struggle. Links to their channels as well as the playlist will be in the description box. Okay, let's get into it. This first project has a couple different parts to it. For the first part, I'm going to be making a little scarecrow. I'm going to be using a piece of denim from an old pair of jeans, an old plaid shirt, some wood skewers. That's where the wood part's going to come in. I'm also going to be some wood half rounds. I'm going to glue them together to make a whole one. So if you wanted to just use a wood bead, that would be fine as well. And I'm also to be using some burlap. So what I'm doing first, I folded the jean material over to make a pair of pants, and I just had it folded over so that way the front side and the back side pants would match. And then I glued the wooden skewers inside of the jeans. And then I'm going to take some straw and I'm going to glue that one to the bottom, like half of the pants would be, so that way the straw will be sticking out of the little scarecrow. And this is real straw, but you could use raffia or anything like that, anything that would resemble, straw to make your scarecrow. You could also buy a scarecrow already made, and I have one, but he is packed away somewhere and I cannot locate him. So I decided to just make one, and he turns out really cute. So after I get the straw on the bottom of the legs, then I am going to put some in the top as well, and then glue the uh, top part of the pants down on the bottom part, just like that. And then I'm going to make this shirt the same way. I'm just going to cut a square piece of material. I'm going to fold it over, and then I'm just going to cut the shirt out and then glue the wood skewers inside of the wood shirt inside of this shirt to make it, stiff, and then also glue in some straw and then glue the top and the bottom together. Then I'm going to glue one of the wood skewers down into the top part of the shirt, like where the neck is, and then I'm going to glue the wood round onto the skewer to make his head. And then once I get that glued on there, then I'm going to use the burlap to make his hat. I'm going to cut out a circle, and then I'm going to fold it over and cut a hole out in it so that way it will fit onto the wood round. I also glue the shirt and the pants together, just used hot glue to secure those together. Then I just take some hot glue and glue the burlap ring on top of the wood round. And then I'm going to take another piece of burlap and just cut a circle, and that will make a part of the hat and cover up that hole, because putting the hole in there makes it sit on top of the wood round better than it would if there was a hole there. You could still make it work by using hot glue and then just holding it together. So however you want to make your hat, that's how you make it. And then once I get that all secured down, then I'm going to take a permanent marker and draw his little face on. And then I'll also take some straw and glue that sticking out around the hat like it's his hair. You could, do this however you want to. You could add some little flowers or anything, decorate your scarecrow up however you want. Then once I get my scarecrow done, then I'm going to move on to the next part of the project. And I'm going to be using these wood crates from Dollar Tree. And I'm using this blue paint. This paint is really thick, so I'm just watering it down a little bit so that it's a little thinner. Because like I said, it's really thick paint and I don't need it to be that thick for this project. So I'm just going to, one of the crates, I'm going to completely paint it blue. The inside and outside all around completely paint it blue. The second one, I am only going to paint the inside and also the edge around the front of the crate. And once I get that done, I have these napkins that I got at Kroger. They were on sale for 52 cents. I'm going to separate the two layers, and then I'm going to use Mod Podge to decoupage the wood crate using this napkin. I wish if I had to do this over, I would have matched the color of blue more closely to the color in the napkin, but it's still okay. I wanted some blue pumpkins. I saw this ribbon. I don't use it for this project, but it will be in other places in my home, my decor. And so I wanted this to kind of go along with that ribbon that has the blue pumpkins on there. I'm also going to be making some fabric pumpkins. I'm going to do blue, and they're not going to be the exact same color either, but it's still going to have that blue. I don't know what it is about the blue pumpkins. I have been attracted to them this year. So then after I get that decoupaged around the sides and the back, then I'm going to take sandpaper and just go downward to get the excess napkin off. And then I'm going to match up the napkin on the sides so that way I can cover those as well. And like I said, just match it up. There's lines on there, and I just match it up so it, just flows just perfectly. And do this on both ends of the crate. Okay, then once I get that done, then I am going to use my hair dryer to dry everything up. I'm going to use wood glue and hot glue to glue the two together. And you could have these freestanding, they could go by themselves, but I just wanted mine together as one unit. So I just glue those together. And I had this cinnamon stick as part of one left over from making another project, and I decided to use this for my stem, the stems on my pumpkins, but you could also use sticks or anything else that would work for that. And then I'm taking this Spanish moss, and I'm running out of Spanish moss. I don't have a whole lot of it left. So you're going to see me here in a second scrape up every little crumb that falls on the table and use it, which is probably a good idea anyway, instead of just throwing it away. But that's why I'm doing it in this case, because I'm getting very low on it. I'm going to have to definitely get some more. And so I was just trying to make sure I used up every piece that I could. And like I said, I just do this on both. And I also take a piece of raffia and tie that around the stem as well, just to give it a little, contrast. Now I'm going to be making some straw bells, and I'm just using a sponge, cutting it down. I'm going to be making one larger and one smaller one. And the only thing I'm going to do is just take some hot glue and put it on the sponge, and then press the sponge with the hot glue into the straw. And then I'm going to take my scissors and cut the parts that's sticking out. And I'm going to do this all the way around the sponge. Well, at least on the parts that are going to be showing, because I'm going to glue this down into the pumpkin. So the parts that were going to be glued onto the inside, I'm not going to put straw on those, but the parts that you will be able to see, I put straw on those. And then that gives me a cute little bell of straw. Once I get that all done, then I'm going to glue it inside of the pumpkin, and I'm going to take my little scarecrow, and he's going to sit down on this bell of straw. I'm also going to let him hold a pumpkin, and then I'm going to take the other bell of straw, glue it into the other side, and decorate it up with more mini pumpkins and acorns. There that is all finished. So nice and cute. I love it. I just love it. And this will work well as a two-sided display as well. There it is on the other side. So if you want, in the center of a table or something. Okay, now for this next project, I'm using this wood plank and this Give Thanks from calendar from Dollar Tree. I believe this was one not last year, the year before last. So I'm cutting off the ribbon that was on this, and it was stapled on. So I'm just taking some sandpaper and sanding just to get off as much of that ribbon. Then I'm going to measure out my calendar page, mark it, and then cut it so that it's going to fit onto my wood plank. And you don't have to worry, it's going to be seams, but that's okay. We're going to cover those up. So I just take some Mod Podge and put it onto my wood plank. And then I'm going to put my calendar page on. And then I'm going to take the sides where the leaves are and I'm going to cut those to fit to cover up the rest of the wood plank. It's completely optional if you don't want to do that part too, but I just thought it, just flowed together, just made it look, really nice and fall like with those leaves on there. Same as with the napkin, I take my sandpaper and go downward to get the excess off. And then I'm going to take this rope and I'm going to glue it up where the seam is. And it just so happened that's exactly where the ribbon was on this. So it also helped camouflage that a little bit. I did get most of it off, and so it's really visible through the calendar page. But if you know it was there, you'd know it was there. So this way it is completely covered now. So, and then I'm going to take the leftover piece of ribbon here, or rope, and I'm going to staple that on, and you don't have to worry about staples being seen because they're going to be hidden as well. And because I'm going to use some leaves and pine cones, and I spent forever. When I was editing this, I was like, my goodness, I spent forever deciding what leaves I wanted to use. But I eventually got it done. So there I am. I'm going to glue the leaves down, and then I'm also going to glue pine cones and acorns. And these acorns I have had for a little while. Whenever my husband and I go for walks, we pick up like this pine cones and rocks and acorns and all that, and the little caps that come off. So I hot glued those back on as well. There's my cute little give thanks sign. Okay, now for this third project, I am using this wood fox from the Dollar Tree and fabric that I got from the Dollar Tree as well. I'm going to trace the fox onto the fabric. When you get around the legs, you want something skinnier to get in there, so keep that in mind. And then after I get traced out, then I just take these smaller scissors, they're like little detail scissors, that makes cutting around those little legs and stuff a lot easier. Material all cut out, laid on top of my fox, and then I'm going to get my Mod Podge and I'm going to cover over the whole thing. And you want to make sure, because it's fabric, you might need a little more Mod Podge than you would with paper. At least that's my take on it. And then just there, because this is dimensional, I don't know how else to say it, like it's got cutouts with the cutout. So I want to press down to make those, very visible. So you want to know exactly where they are. So just pressing down. I need a little extra here, and I think down around the legs too. I might not show every place, but you just want to make sure that you get it, so it's pressed down so you can see those parts. And then I'm going to take some burlap, and on the part that's raised up on the head and the tail, I'm going to be putting burlap on there. So just take Mod Podge, and right where it's like on the ears and then the top part of the head, I put Mod Podge just on there. And you just want to be careful so you don't get Mod Podge anyplace else. You just want it to be right exactly where you need it. So I just, like I said, cover that, and then I put the burlap on top of there. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the tail, on the part that's sticking up. Put Mod Podge on there as well, and then put a little piece of burlap there. And then I'm going to take this piece of white paper because one of the legs is also sticking up. So I want to make an outline for that. And I don't want it to be all blended together because obviously that wouldn't be how it was going to be. Not that there's going to be a patterned fox, but still, I wanted, one leg to be distinguishable from the rest of his body. I didn't want it to just blend in. So I wanted it to be able to stand out. So I just cut a piece of, I used the pattern that I made with the white paper to cut out the material for his leg. Now, once the Mod Podge is dry, then I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and those little detail scissors, and I'm going to cut the burlap. You can very easily tell where the raised part is, so it's very easy to cut it out. Just take some time and do it. And like I said, these little detail scissors, they do help. There's not a whole lot of places where I could use those. The X-Acto knife was my main tool for this part. You also want to make sure you don't press down too hard because you don't want to cut the material. Also, you're just wanting to go through the burlap only. So you might have to make a few small swipes at it instead of, just making one strong cut. So that way you're not cutting both the burlap and the material. You want to just cut the burlap so the material is still there. And then I chose to put some Mod Podge on top of the burlap. It shouldn't have frayed any more than what it already was, but I just done it just like extra security, so that way, I know for sure that it's not going to fray and come apart and then eventually just not be on there at all. And I liked kind of the frayed edges a little bit because it's a little fox and kind of a little fuzzy. And then I'm going to take some black paint, and the raised part where the eyes are, I'm going to paint that black. And then also part there at the end of the burlap, like where his little nose would be. And I'm also going to take this beige. It's kind of like a peachy pink color, but this color was in the material, so I chose to use that to paint the inside of his ears. And then once I get that done, I'm going to take a white paint marker and I'm going to add highlights to his eyes. There we go. Now I'm going to, because I want him to stand up, I'm going to use wood glue and hot glue to glue a wood block to the back of him. You could use anything that you have that this would work for. And then I'm going to take a piece of foam and glue that on top of the wood block. And this I'm going to use to put my flowers in. You can use whatever kind of flowers you want. You don't even have to do this step. That is entirely up to you. I haven't decided if I'm going to leave the flowers on mine or not yet. I like it with and without. So I don't know. We will see. But I also had those blue leaves that match the blue and the pumpkins and the ribbon that I have. So I decided to use those. Okay, let's take one final look at all of these projects.
Swear to others here, the air is crisp and cool. Walking through the park, feeling autumn's rule. Pumpkin spice in the air, cozy nights to share. Cider in my cup, I'm breathing in the flare. Oh, autumn days, your painted skies of gold. With every breeze, a story's being told. Colors in the wind, dance around the trees. Autumn's here to set our spirits free.
Okay, that's all for this video. Don't forget to check the description box for links to the hosts, Brenda's and Christine's channels, as well as Brandy's channel. And be sure to watch the playlist to get lots of wood DIY inspiration from all of the great contributors to the What Would You Make challenge. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Leaves are falling down, oh can't you see? Golden shades of red, it's like a dream to me. Swear to others here, the air is crisp and cool.